Hello everyone, and welcome to the final game of the 2018 Women's US Chess Championship. We have a game between Nazi Paikidze and Annie Wang. Now, okay, some pronounce it Nazi, some pronounce it Naji. Yasser pronounces it Naji, so I don't know who to believe, but I'm sure you will all correct me in the comments as usual. She already won one United States Championship title for women in 2016, so this is her, third attempt. Last year she was unsuccessful in doing so, and she already holds 2 titles as the World Youth Chess Champion for girls, and 4 times European Youth Chess Champion for girls in her age category. So quite a lot of titles for her, and she faces Annie Wang. Now, this isn't the first video I'm doing on Annie Wang. I'm sure you all remember that video I made. It was, I believe, in the 2017 Youth Chess Championship, where Annie won a tournament with 9.5 out of 10, and she won 218 rating points in one tournament. That was insane. I will put a link to that video if you want to check it out in the description below, where I say something more about Annie. How does this work? I really thought that Annie Wang would win the United States Women's Championship, as she was constantly in first place with a full point lead, and then she lost her last game, which put her in a tie with Nazi Paikidze, and then they had to go to a tie break. And even in the tie breaks, Annie Wang won her first game against Nazi, and it was like, how do you come back from this? And then the next game Nazi won with the black pieces, and they had to go into an Armageddon game. So this time it was a bit different. You always know that in the Armageddon, white has like either 5 minutes and black gets 6 minutes, but black can also draw. Black doesn't have to win. But here it was a bit different. Here, instead of just the time difference, there was also a 2-second increment. So it was even how to put it? It was even easier for black to hold a draw with the increment. Let's just see the game. In the tie breaks, Nazi got the white pieces, and so she has to win this game. If Annie draws the game or wins, then she is the United States Women's Champion. So let's see the game, and it's very interesting because it's until one point it's the same game that was played in their previous game in the Rapids in the tie breaks, but you'll see what happens then. So we have knight to f3, starting with a reti opening, e6, g3, and knight to f6, bishop to g2, d5 now, so we have the King's Indian attack on the board, castles, bishop to e7, d3, and c5, knight b to d2, knight to c6, e4, b6, preparing to develop the light square bishop, e5 now, knight to e7, now both knights are attacking the e5 pawn, you have to defend it, rook e1, queen to c7, adding more pressure to the e5 pawn, queen e2 defending, and bishop to b7 now. And here Nazi goes for c4, so this is completely the same like their previous game they played in the tie breaks. d4, and here we have knight to f1. Knight to e4 does seem like an excellent square for the knight, but you can never get your knight here because you constantly have to defend the e5 pawn. So here we have knight to f1, h6, and h4 by Nazi. Here Annie played queenside castle, and this is completely the same like in their previous game. And here is the difference. But first I did prepare some photos for this move. Here is a photo of the two of them. This was after the original championship, so before the tie breaks even started. And here we have, let me just check. Yeah, here we have it. This is Grandmaster Georgi Kacheishvili, and it was after the first 2 games, so in the tie breaks. In the previous game, Nazi played h5 here. And after h5, rook d2 f8 was played by Annie, a3, and then Annie got some nice counterplay with the g5. And after that game, like I said, Grandmaster Georgi Kacheishvili, he told Nazi that she should have gone for a different idea here, and it's he isn't her coach or anything. He's just a fan, and he wanted to help out. So here his suggestion was knight 1 to h2. So this was played in the game. No longer going for the immediate h5, and in the previous game white really weakened the position by playing pawn to g4. But in this game knight will come to g4, and white will have a much better game. So g5, and he goes for the same idea as in the previous game. She wants to open up the king side, and now h5, locking the king side. And in the previous game, Nazi was she wasn't forced, but she decided to block the position here with g4. This game, the knight is coming to g4, as was the suggestion of Grandmaster Kacheishvili. So rook d2 f8, and now knight comes to g4. King to b8, we have bishop to d2, and now f5. E captures on f6, en passant, knight captures, and now knight comes to f5, knight g to f5. G4, but now g4 is not really a threat, because now knight captures on c6 with check. Bishop captures, and now the other knight comes to e5. We have bishop captures on g2, king captures, and queen to b7. This comes with check and king to g1. And here it's very difficult now to find the move for black. Nazi is completely controlling the e-file, and knight to g6 is a terrible threat that will win the exchange. And there really isn't a good move here. There is a kind of a strong engine line that suggests bishop to d6, and after you allow knight to g6, attacking the rooks, then e5. You give up a rook for a knight, but you close down the e-file and you pretend like white didn't really achieve anything. So that's one way to go about it, and it doesn't play this. She goes rook to e8, and now comes knight to g6, attacking the bishop, opening up the attack from the queen to the pawn. And here rook to h7, as the rook was attacked on h8. Queen captures on e6, and now knight captures on h5. There really isn't a good move here. There's simply too much pressure. There's a triple attack on the e7 bishop. The bishop can't move because this rook is under attack. Ideas like queen captures on f6 will even be on the board. I mean, both of them are low on time, but Annie's even more in time trouble. So she goes knight captures on h5. Queen captures on g4, and although this isn't the best move, probably best is simply check the king and pick up the knight. Here it's a free piece, but okay, she goes knight captures on g4, as this is also winning. Black really doesn't have a move here, so knight back to f6 was played. You can't really go for some knight captures on g3 ideas, maybe opening up the king and then maybe going for some sort of an attack, because this comes with check, and it's a pretty forced variation that exchanges everything. Knight captures on e7, rook captures, rook captures, rook captures, and now queen g8 check will simply force a trade of queens, and you're up a piece and up a pawn. So this would be completely winning. So after this, queen to g4, knight to f6 was played, queen to f4 check, king a8, and now knight captures on e7. Also possible here, instead of capturing the bishop, was capturing the knight. One of the ideas we talked about. After bishop captures, rook captures on e8 with check. You have to block with the queen b8, and now rook captures, and again you are up a whole piece. You're up a knight. So after king to a8, knight captures on e7, rook to f7, or you capture the knight and then queen captures on f7, it's all the same. Rook to f7, now comes knight to f5, rook captures, now Nazi is already up a piece. Rook to f8, we have rook to e7, attacking the queen, queen to c6, the queen doesn't really have a good square to go to, you can't really allow check on f3. Queen captures on h6, rook to c8, and now rook to f7. And here Annie did play queen to f3, but even before she played it, she lost on time. And we do even have a photo of this moment. There you have it, 0.00 on Annie's clock, and there's a queen on f3. So this move was played, but only after she ran out of time. So yeah. All of these photos are from chess.com's article, so I will put the article in the description below. You can read some more about both of them and about this championship. And for the end of this video, I have prepared for you the final standings of the United States 2018 US Championship for women. As you can see, Nazi Paikidze in first place, $25,000 prize. Then Annie Wang, then Irina Krush, then Anna Zatonskin, Jennifer Yu, and so on and so on. Last year's winner, Sabina Foysor, only got, as you can see, 7th place here, so not not the greatest attempt at defending the title. But you know, you can never predict these things. So yeah, that's the game. I do hope you enjoyed it. I would like to thank Daniel Martinek for your contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check two of my previous videos here. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you soon. Hopefully, I will be starting another series soon, and you will get that poll today. Thank you all.